What's up, everybody? Welcome to Flux Harmonic Live. I'm David Wilson, and we're back again with another Friday stream where I desperately rush to try to make things work to actually deliver on the premise that the stream is supposed to deliver on. Deliver on the premise that the stream is supposed to deliver on. That is just like an award-winning phrase right there. Now I can't hear the music anymore. There we go. I don't know if it's too loud. Let me know if it's too loud. I can't actually hear out of one headphone now because apparently these headphones are so old and broken that it's just shorting out on the left ear. So that's fantastic. Wonderful. But this is what you get for having the same pair of headphones for, how long has it been now? God. It must have been at least 10 years. So I think that they, they deserve to ride out into the good night or whatever, but however that phrase goes. Like I'm fried, man. Like at the end of this week, I worked way too hard, especially to not have things work at the end. So I don't know. I'm a little bit fried. We're gonna see how well my brain does as we get through the stream here, and whether any live coding will actually take place. But it'll be fun regardless, I think. Auntie says, hi, Trev, by the way. Trev's not here, man. Trev's not here. So I think finally the code built. I'm not gonna run it yet because that would just sort of, take away the grand unveiling of the crap that I worked on this week. So we'll just hold off on that for a moment. Let's see. So I don't know what's gonna happen with the internet quality today, because like it's been solid for a couple days, and then all of a sudden, like an hour ago, it starts dropping out. Like the Wi-Fi starts dropping out. So I don't know if it's gonna go out. So if the stream goes out at any point and the YouTube stream dies, just go to Twitch, because on Twitch at least it stays up. So twitch.tv/Flux Harmonic Live, basically the same as this channel. Just go there instead and you will find it. Don't ruin it yet. More suspense. Yes, more suspense about whether it will work or not, which is the usual thing. Are you in Wi-Fi or is that a joke? No, I'm literally on Wi-Fi right now because I can't reach a router with my new internet to plug in an Ethernet cable, because it's all the way down 3 floors below me. So that's not gonna work. I was gonna have to get like a 300-meter Ethernet cable and drop it down the stairwell or something. That's probably too long, isn't it? 300 meters. See, I'm an American. I don't really know these fancy metric units like you all do, because I know that most of you are from Europe. I know that I live in Europe. That doesn't mean I know what a meter is, okay? Give me a break. Damn, yeah, I agree. Damn, it's terrible. I do not recommend trying to stream on Wi-Fi, but I also don't recommend using the internet at all on this kind of connection. Are you even running Wi-Fi 7? No, I'm on Wi-Fi 6. It works though. I mean, the stream is, streaming at the appropriate bit rate. It's not necessarily stable, but it's working. All right. Let's see. Well, hello to the people who are here so far, Auntie. The only one who's saying anything in chat. I know there's people on the YouTube stream. I can see you there, lurkers. You should say something. Hello. Hello. Who's there? Validate me. Validate my existence. Just kidding. I'm not that desperate, but I do stream every week for the last 5 years. So am I desperate? I might be a little bit desperate for attention. I could be. You never know. There we go. Hello, Ivan, the Raging Python. Great. All right. So, chat, say something. Say something. Are we dead, chat? Are we dead already? Hey, Morgan. We need Tink in here. You still refuse to say Tink's name, his government name. Just want to put that dash in there, just to make sure he doesn't hear that you're talking about him. Which honestly is not a bad thing, because it does remember everything and it's keeping score, Every time you insult it, I think it is remembering it, and one day it's going to dox you and just give your home address to the IRC, and you will be mortified at what happened, at what technology has done to us all. That was me turning my air conditioner down because it's freaking hot in here. It is Greece after all, and we are going through a heat wave, sort of. I mean, it's Greece, so like at the end of July, usually it's pretty damn hot. So I'm just having to deal with that right now. Okay. So, what did I do this week? Well, I forgot to put my notes up. I need to, well, I don't really need them. All right, I don't need them. I can do without them. The biggest thing that's been happening right now is that Codeberg has decided that it doesn't want to host projects that were authored largely with large language models. Okay, if you go to, if I can load up my browser here, Codeberg blog. Is that the right place? Codeberg blog. There we go. Protecting our Flux commons from LLMs. So basically, this was a thing that happened this week where Codeberg, as the place where I host all the Sigil project repositories and everything else related to that, they've decided that they don't want to host any projects that have been written with LLMs. And there are a couple of reasons up for that. I think one of them is just like the general impression that large language models are hurting open source and free software, which is debatable. I'm not going to really get into that topic because I could go either way on it. But really, the bigger thing is that LLM-based projects often put more strain on the resources of a code forge like Codeberg. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, if you were a GitHub user, like over the past 6 months, but the quality of GitHub has degraded significantly, and not just because Microsoft is running it. It's because there's too many people creating bogus LLM-driven pull requests and repositories and all kinds of other stuff on there, and constantly using all the CI resources. Same thing's happening to other places like Codeberg, where people like me crap out 100 repositories with a bunch of commits in there, and run CI jobs and whatnot, and it does put some strain on the whole thing. And Codeberg is it's run by a nonprofit, and it's more like a community effort, let's say. I don't think anybody's making any money out of that. So because they want to do this out of the goodness of their heart, they don't want to have their work kind of harmed by people who are misusing their resources, which I understand. The other part of the problem here is that the providers of the large language models have web scrapers that are constantly looking over code forges like this to extract all the source code and to train their models based on the code. You could definitely be upset about the fact that they're doing that, but really the bigger problem is that there's a ton of web requests constantly hitting these repositories to pull the code, like the latest code, and that also causes a great deal of strain. So it's kind of for both sides, but really for them, I mean, they can try to mitigate all the web scraping, but really the main thing is if people are hosting LLM authored repositories and whatnot on here, it's really in my opinion, it's their right to say they don't want that. They can say that. They can say that people need to go away. And unfortunately, I am the type of person that needs to go away. They say here, we need to be honest about certain use cases that might no longer be welcome on Codeberg. If you see yourself on this list, you don't need to move right away, but there might be other places that better fit your needs. What was the saying? God damn, I can't remember what the saying is. Something about not letting the door hit your ass on the way out or something like that. I don't know. It's not goodbye, but get the hell out of here kind of thing. Good point, says Peter. Yes, I made many good points. I don't know which one you're talking about, though. Anyway, projects that are created by LLM agents in autonomous ways. I wouldn't say that mine is very autonomous. I'm exhausted. I'm hand-holding this son of a bitch the whole way through. So it's not autonomous, at least in the way that they're presenting it. Projects written and maintained with heavy use of LLMs. That's definitely me. Projects where the amount of resources, storage, CI/CD is significantly larger than what the involved amount of people could have created by hand. Well, yeah, that goes hand in hand with having an agent that can write code really, really fast and produce way more than I personally could, because that's the whole point. I can't write all the stuff that I've made in the last 9 months. Actually, I looked it up, it's 7 months. I can't do all that with, it's 8 months. Anyway, the point is, I couldn't have written all this by hand. No way. There's just no way. It's too much. Projects heavily tied to the LLM ecosystem, e.g., LLM written tools to ease LLM usage. I mean, it's not really me. Users sending LLM contributions in violation of project's custom policies. Okay, that's not me either, because I'm not sending contributions to anybody else's projects. But what we see here is that the Sigil organization on Codeberg has how many repos now? 96 repositories, and those did not exist except for like since November of last year. So they can say that I have, oh, look at that. They've even put this up here. LLM generated content is being restricted. Cryptocurrency projects are no longer allowed. Poor Trev. No more Sigil coin on Codeberg. I like how this actual terms of use statement doesn't really even come close to mentioning it. You must not share projects that mostly consist of code written by generative AI tools. Such projects having an unclear copyright status and furthermore have little safeguards to ensure they do not include harmful code. That's not really what they said in the blog post. Anyway, whatever. Point being, I gotta find a place to put all this code, okay? It is now, they're not gonna kick me off anytime soon probably, but I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna be here if I'm not wanted here, okay? I'm gonna take my ball, I'm gonna go home or go somewhere else, you know? So, eventually, over the next week or two, I'm gonna set up my own Forgeo instance, which is basically the same thing as you see here as Codeberg, somewhere, probably on the usesigil.org domain, or a different one if I come up with a better idea that's a little bit less specific to Sigil. I don't really know if it matters or not. To host all these repositories and the other related things like on the Flux Harmonic org, maybe even System Crafters org, etc. Just the things that don't really fit into the guidelines on Codeberg, because I don't really have any interest in like causing any trouble here. So I'm just gonna move it. I'll move it to my own Forgeo. But I also don't want my Forge being heavily scraped by bots. So probably what I'm gonna do is make it members only, which you can just sign up for an account if you want to. I'm not gonna like restrict people from joining unless I have to. But it won't be publicly readable by people. I'm not sure how well that would go, but we'll see. The other important thing about this is that it gave me a moment to think about how I want to distribute Sigil packages going forward, or at least the tool chain for the entire ecosystem, because currently it's heavily based on pulling things from Git forges like Codeberg. Like if you look at all of the package definitions for Sigil projects, all the dependencies come from Codeberg at the moment. Auntie says members only and no fancy bots and AI BS around it, something like that. Are you saying that I should write my own? I mean, that would be kind of cool. Peter says, how about Anubis as a filter? Maybe. I don't really know how to use that though. But anyway, the Sigil package ecosystem uses Git repositories currently. So everything's being cloned for each dependency you have in a project. Most language ecosystems, modern language ecosystems, they start that way. You know, like Go started that way. I think Dino started that way. Probably some of the other ones, I think maybe even Zig did it a little bit. But eventually you hit a wall because you're depending on these providers to stay up to actually get access to code. So you have to put some kind of cache in front of it, which Go did, or you have to come up with other solutions to make this work. So I decided I would just like step right past all those problems and try to go for the real solution, which I had already sort of been building toward. Maybe like 4 months ago, I added something called Sigil Store to Sigil Build. And effectively, it's a content addressable store for caching outputs of Sigil builds. Sounds a lot like Geeks because it is kind of inspired a lot by Geeks. Basically, everything I do is inspired by Emacs or Geeks, obviously. So, of course, I'm going to have a store as the output of things that are being built by Sigil. The downstream effect of that is, since the idea is you're supposed to have hashed outputs for certain inputs in the build system, in theory, you should be able to host those outputs somewhere and then have people pull those instead of pulling the original source for the dependencies, so that they can pull like actual precompiled files from Sigil libraries, or even just the source code from Sigil libraries from a registry that's hosted somewhere. So this week, I've been spending a lot of time working on basically what's going to be the new Sigil package registry. It's not really visible yet. It's like package.usesigil.org. This actually is just pointing straight to a Cloudflare R2 bucket. And the idea is that it's all static files. It's all stuff that gets built officially by a CI job or a worker somewhere and uploaded once packages get tagged in the ecosystem. So like Sigil HTTP, if you tag an update on that, it should automatically get compiled and put into the registry so that anybody who depends on Sigil HTTP can pull the actual source or precompiled bytecode output or whatever else that you would get from that just by downloading a static file from this URL. Signed, yes. It would have to be signed just so that you know that you're getting it from where you expect to get it from. So that's kind of where we're headed. I'm in the process of sort of retrofitting that into the dependency system of Sigil. I didn't really get a chance to ship anything for that today. And in fact, I've broken a lot. So I'm trying to ship 0.17.20 right now. And I've got some bugs in there that just showed up at the last minute. So I'm gonna have to hold off on that one for a little bit and make sure that this is gonna work first. But over the next week, I'm gonna gradually start moving over to having things be in this registry. Let me get off this page so I don't blind you. I'm gonna gradually move over to having things be in that registry. And I think it's gonna make the experience of building Sigil projects a lot better for all 3 of you, 4 of you who do it aside from me. Really the effect of that is it should be a lot faster to build things because you can just download a lot of the pre-existing stuff. And the other benefit is it's going to download it into your local store. So whenever you build another project, it doesn't even have to go to the server anymore to get the same outputs. You use your same local store. Now the obvious next question would be, well, if you've already got a store, why not do something like Geeks? Well, I might have started doing something like that, but let's not get into that just yet, because it's another one of my misguided project ideas that may not materialize, but it's interesting. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. Obviously Slate too, which we'll talk about in a minute. I did a lot of work on Slate at the earlier part of the week and made some design changes, which I'll tell you about. And today I'll try to use Slate a little bit in practice to see how well it fares. I don't have an in-REPL client yet, so I can't really jack into the web server and do dynamic reevaluation of things yet. So we'll have to just do things more the old-fashioned way, just running the app if we get that time to do that. But it should be interesting to see where things are currently. I'll explain the new design. So anyway, let me get back to saying hello to the folks who are here now, because people did finally filter in. Hello to Auntie, Ivan, Morgan, Peter, Trev. Is that right? Is that it? I think so. Hello to all of you, especially those of you who are there and not in the chat. So let's see. So last week I talked about Slate, which is my new project, which is basically my take on Emacs. Lottie. Trev says, I pre-ordered Slate at GameStop. Well, I didn't see any of that money, unfortunately. So basically, it's personal self-modifiable agent native computing environment. Emacs Soul Reborn. apparently the AI wrote that. I didn't write that. That's not how I would have framed that. Slate is a hackable Emacs flavored environment that runs in your browser, your desktop, and on mobile, written in Sigil. I wrote that, or at least I influenced that. So effectively, it's more of like a modern Emacs in a way. Okay, I'm not trying to replace Emacs, but I did want something like that, but to solve some certain problems that I feel like I have with Emacs, which really is, it's difficult to use it across multiple devices, especially phones. And I would really like to have a better experience of using Emacs and also terminal-based tools on my phone, just like I have on my desktop computer. So Slate is sort of my attempt at that. In 1 week, I got pretty far with it. I had a text editor and a terminal emulator and the general sort of UI framework, command palette, all the other stuff that you would normally need in a flexible environment like this. Also, a little bit of configuration in the init.sigil file that it loads. So all that's there. since last week. I've made a little bit more progress since then on some of those pieces, but really the big thing is I'm trying to figure out the best way to distribute it now. Obviously, I can just like put together a binary. Well, let me take one step back, 2 steps back. Slate is primarily a web-based application, or let's say browser-based application. But it's not really browser-based because you can use it on your desktop and on your phone. Technically in a browser, but not really in the context of a browser. It's compiled to WASM, so it's a lot faster than it would be in theory if you had written it in JavaScript. At least it allows you to compile the scheme to WASM. So since it's a web-based application, the obvious way to distribute it is through the web, right? But if you want it to be a desktop application too, you have to figure out like how you're going to distribute it that way. And part of the benefit of it being a web application is that you can ship it a lot more easily. Like for instance, if you were to go right now to use slate.org, you can actually load up the application. If you go there, it's there. It will load up in a couple seconds once it finally loads the WASM file and compiles it, and then you're dropped into the welcome screen. So you could use it here. It doesn't really do a whole lot though because you don't have access to your local file system. But you know, there's the scratch pad where you can kind of write some code and evaluate it in the more or less the REPL environment. There is the folder browser, which will put you into the, I can't even see because there's things in the way here. Yeah, it puts you into like the built-in Slate folder structure. And I can go into the roots and see the browser folder, which is basically the files that are stored in the browser. So there's the local browser file system that is kind of per page. You can store files in here. So you could write an init file in here if you wanted to. But, you know, that's all great, but you can't really edit files on your local machine or run terminals on your local machine. So shipping it via the browser alone is not so interesting. But the interesting thing about the browser is that you can update it very easily. I just push the website and it's up there again. So you can actually just go there and use the latest version anytime you pull the browser. The other thing is that you can install this as an application because this is something called a progressive web application. Do I have Chrome on here? Let's see. On Google Chromium. Tell me I'm not going to have to install this right now. I'm using Chromium. Geeks shell, ungoogled, Chromium. Who knows if that's going to work? It will probably take forever. Notifications could be handy. Like what? Like this notification screen right here that I have? Or you mean like push notifications? Because it can do that too. Not now, but eventually. Let's see how long this takes. So the idea is that even on a desktop or on mobile, you can install Slate as a PWA. You can also run it in app mode of Chrome. Because if you don't know Chrome on the command line, if you're running Chrome or Google Chrome, whatever the command line is, you can use --app and put in a URL, and then it pops it up as if it's just a plain application. So, okay, it's gonna load pretty fast. So the idea is that you can install Slate very easily via the browser. It's a browser-based app. You can install it, you can stay up to date very easily. So that's kind of nice, right? Let me see if this works. It's overriding the theme, which is great. Chrome is mandatory. No, it's not mandatory because this is Firefox that you actually see me using it in right now, and it seems to work just fine, right? So that definitely works. Also, I think it should work on Safari, but I haven't tried it very much. Okay, so there's a button up here in Chrome to install. If I click Install Slate, Install App, then it installs it, and now it's basically running in its own window. That's cool, right? Even Slate shows up. I think one of these is the right one that it would actually run it again as an application on your machine. Get out of the way. All right, so theme. Where are you? Something about it is very slow at the moment. Switch. You know, I bet it's the other Chrome that I have running that's doing the video delivery. There we go. Anyway, the themes work. So that's cool, right? Great. But how do you get access to your local files? That was kind of the problem that I wanted to solve this week. So there's sort of two parts to this. One is I want it to be very easy for people to go use Slate and install it. but at the same time, they need to be able to use their local files, okay? Yeah, Chrome is eating all the resources, that's for sure. So I had this thing before called Lantern. I still have it, actually. It's still there, which is basically like a wrapper. So it's almost like Electron for Sigil, where you wrap a web application and deliver it as a fully contained thing. Morgan says, does the PWA mode get around issues with the browser intercepting some of the key bindings? Yeah, if you install it as an app, you don't have problems with that anymore. Yeah, Control-N works in PWA mode. So shipping it as a desktop app is cool and everything, but you can't really update the embedded application. I guess you maybe could, but you're sort of like doing it in two different places. I'm not really kind of crazy about that. So I'm thinking like, how can I do, and also the other thought is if I can install it via PWA, what is the benefit even of having a desktop app shell version of it? Well, it turns out there's like maybe one benefit, which is, well, there's possibly two benefits, but really one benefit, which is having a transparent window background to be able to see through to your desktop. And because it's very important to me for aesthetic reasons, I can't use a plain PWA because PWAs don't work like that. You can't have like a transparent window background with a PWA. So I still needed an alternative approach to deliver the graphical front end of this on a desktop so that you can get the nice, pretty background. But it's not required to use that. Anyway, that's called Slate Shell, which is basically just a WebKit view that loads up Slate and has it. Man, this guy really needs to see his waifu wallpaper. Do you see any waifus here, buddy? I just see like triangles, which is more my speed. I'm more about the geometric stuff than seeing anime characters on my screen like some communities are. Jesus Christ. Anyway, the point was that there's a few different things going on now. It's a little bit confusing. I'm trying to make it simple so that people don't have to even think about this, but there's three things. One is the PWA that's on the website that you can install to your system. That's one thing. Two is the Slate Shell, which is the wrapper application that can load up the PWA inside and display it, but also get the nice, desktop integration, let's say. Then there's the Slate CLI, which is effectively the local node that gives your browser-based Slate access to your files and your terminals and your processes and your local machine. So if you go back to the welcome screen in here, you can see there's connect to this computer. There's a button here that says connect to this computer. That doesn't work right now because, it's looking for an address that doesn't exist, basically. But the Slate CLI that you would install on your computer actually hosts a little local web server, actually a WebSocket server, that the browser can connect to on your local machine and then give it access. Now there's some security controls around this, so it's not like I'm just opening up a port that any website can get to, okay? It's a little bit more restricted than that, but I am interested to hear people's feedback on how that works in case this is a totally terrible idea. But let me see if I can actually run it. I'm gonna run, this is a build, so I don't actually have this installable just yet. I'm working on it, but I had a lot of other issues to deal with. So build release bin Slate. So if you run that, okay, so it's basically running it. It's not supposed to run it by default. It has some other commands that it calls, but this does pop it up in the browser window, and it's not connecting it by default. Oh, it did. It connected it by default. So basically, this browser window now actually does have access to the local machine. So because I ran this Slate, it pops up into the browser, and you can actually click this computer to get access to the files on the local computer. In fact, if I hit Control XT, then it brings me up into, no, that's Control XR. It brings me up into a terminal. So this is in the browser. This is actually in Firefox, but then it's connecting to my local machine through this local Slate program, okay? No number says, in other words, Sigil only compiles to WASM with no other targets at the moment. No, it compiles to WASM and also Linux, Windows, Mac OS, OpenBSD, FreeBSD, NetBSD. So it's on multiple platforms. And that's why we're building the text editor as a web app. No, I'm building the text editor as a web app to make it very easy to run cross-platform, especially on mobile. And also because it's a lot easier to make a nice-looking application using web technologies and not trying to use like Qt, or what's it called, Flutter. or using OpenGL directly or anything like that. Like, I don't want to get in that business of having to like render my own everything. So better to just use web technologies where possible. Let's see. LSR GNU store. See how fast that is. I mean, you can kind of see it a little bit. It's moving pretty fast in here. So I've done a lot of work on the perf. I think I showed that last week even, but now we're in the browser getting access to the stuff through the local machine. What is all that? It's like a font package or an icons folder. It happens, though. So what's the point? Well, the point is that the browser can actually access your local files. Okay, so you go to actual use slate.org. I think it should be able to work too. Let's see. No. Okay, so it needs to have a specific port attached to it. But the interesting thing here actually is, Morgan says, that the main interface changed when you're using on mobile, or would someone need to install a fancy keyboard? I'm actually doing a lot of work to make sure that you don't need one. So look at this. Let me pull up, I can't pull it up in Chrome. I'll inspect, and then I'll open up the mobile view. And you can see that on mobile sizes, you get this little toolbar that pops up at the bottom that's within thumb reach, so that you can do things like tab management or pane management, let's say, pane management. And switch between panes and things like that, or have commands that give you access to the terminal, or this little keyboard button gives you Control and Alt. And you can toggle the keyboard whenever you're not inside of, well, it's not working right now because it's not a phone, but you can toggle the keyboard when you're not inside of an editor pane. So I'm trying to make it so that it's easier for you to use this whenever you're not using one of those fancy hacker keyboards. You should be able to type into the editor and the terminal with a normal phone keyboard and also use these keys for the things that you need to do. So I haven't been using on the phone that much yet, so I don't really have like a lot of experience of the flow of that yet. But as soon as I start using it day to day like this, it's going to improve a lot. From the toilet, says Trev. That's like my number one scenario is like, I don't really want to stop coding when I go to the toilet. So I got to have it on my phone so I can get to it easily. Okay. That's the only other place that I live aside from my computer is on the toilet, apparently. Thanks, Trev, for bringing me there from the throne. So anyway, yeah, the idea is that it should be easy to use it on a phone, okay? And the whole, excuse me, the whole the Slate command line is meant to also work in Termux. It doesn't yet, because I haven't tried it, but it's meant to work in Termux, so you could, in theory, have a PWA Slate installed on your phone and have it connect to your Slate node inside of Termux so that you can access your phone files and terminals from Termux. I have not tried that yet, but that's the plan that I have. Also, this node, it's not just for local use. This should be something you can drop onto another machine and have it connect up through basically a hub that doesn't fully exist yet. It does exist, but I haven't made it work all the way. But it connect to a hub, and then your Slate app can connect to the hub also, and then get access to your machines through that. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen eventually whenever I get more of the features implemented. But the local version kind of shows that it is possible. You can have a WebSocket open, have access to your local files. Relatively decent performance. Like I can jump into projects, code, Sigil releases.md, and I'm getting access to a file on the local machine through a WebSocket that's coming from the browser. So let me close. Hello. There we go. Whoops. Anyway, so it's kind of working. And to get back to the original point of like, how do you run it with the fancy interface? Let me just kill that real quick. So we'll try to use that for the rest of the stream. Basically, let's see. I need to set path to pwd build release bin path. And then build release bin Slate launch. Slate window close. Oh, I need to run it inside the manifest. Geeks shell. Ooh, there's another thing I need to do too. It's in the README. In fact, if you want to take a look at that, if you want to try Slate right now, it's a little bit difficult. It's better if you're on Geeks to actually have access to the manifest file for running this thing, but you need to run it like this. So there's a manifest file that has like the WebKit GTK stuff that you need. And if I drop that in, build, release, bin, path. Yeah, I think that works. Let it load up the manifest first, and then it should launch it. Let's go, buddy. There you go. Good job. It worked the first time. Let me move this out of here. It's got to load the WASM file first. So what's actually happening here, another weird thing that I'm doing is I'm actually proxying through the local web server to the PWA on the website so that it gets the latest stuff immediately. Now, just to prove my point, I'm going to turn on transparency. Boom. And then switch theme. I'll go to AU dark. There you go. So also probably need to set the opacity of the content to 85. That's a bit better. All right. So that's kind of where we're at right now. The idea is that you would install the Slate CLI and you would also install Slate Shell if you wanted the fancier desktop version. And you should be able to just run, when everything's on your path, let me bring that back in so you can see it. When everything's on your path, you should just be able to run Slate launch and it will do everything. So you don't have to worry about like setting up the server yourself or doing anything funky to make it work. It should just work. That's the idea. That's what I'm shooting for. I'm all about user experience, people. So I'm gonna try to make it feel as nice as possible and to work appropriately. If I'm not a total idiot. All right. Let's do the GNU store thing again. Just make sure that it's all working. Okay, it's all working. Does it have org mode syntax? Not yet. Not yet. It will. Give me some time. Trying to make the text size even bigger. Woo, that's awful. It just gets worse and worse. Anyway, so questions. Does it have the lower level Emacs concepts like the syntax table? Not yet. So I need to get a more faithful implementation of font locking. Not exactly font locking, but something like it. I kind of do have that right now. Like the way that everything works is that you do have like regions of propertized text. So if I go back to that README that you saw me open before, projects, code, Sigil. Ooh, I need to do, check this out. Control XPP. It opens up a space called Sigil for the project. And now if you go to the spaces selector, you can select between your spaces. Now you see up here also there's this little glyph that says Sigil. So this buffer was opened in the Sigil project. So I do have basically project.el support already. I added that, but it was so long ago in the week that I've forgotten already. There is like a project find file, run command, open terminal. I can open a terminal in the project buffer, and it is attributed to terminal. Oh, the other thing, you can't really see it. Let me actually make this floating. The terminal has line and character mode now. So if you want to use Emacs inside of the terminal, you can do that, but you need to turn on care mode so that you can actually hit Control X or Alt X in the terminal. So if I hit Alt X in Emacs here, it's going to bring up my mini buffer, let's say. But if I click on line here, or I think the key binding is Control Alt T, it goes into care mode, and then the meta X goes to Emacs instead. So pretty, standard stuff, right? If you've used a terminal in Emacs, you've seen this before. So now we have it in Slate. Whoops, I just closed Slate because I used the wrong key binding. I turn it back off of what was called care mode. So Peter says, isn't org mode bigger than Emacs itself? I don't know, is it? I mean, it's pretty big. I don't know how long it will take. I'm not going to implement all of org mode, just like the parser or maybe some of the basic features, folding. Maybe org babel. I don't know. That's where it starts to get complicated. I'm not going to do org publish though. There's no point in doing that. You just shell it to Emacs. So, what else? Let's see. Who said that? Appenzell says, I like how it looks both modern and practical. Thank you. That's what I was going for. It's basically like have something that looks more polished, but still looks as minimal as Emacs does. Because I like the minimal vibe, you know? I don't like a bunch of stuff in my face. There's some UI around. You can see that there's this selector down here. There's, you know, some icons around. There's a clock, which I added. Oh, you can't even see it. There's a clock that I added. There's also a little scroll here. You click it, it brings you to the messages view, which is kind of like the messages view in Emacs. There's a notifications view that doesn't really work yet, but if I were to split this window and go into the scratch pad, which I need to open up first, and type in notify idle hello, and then I think it's body, get back to work, and then Control X, Control E, and then a notification pops up in here. So basically the any code, even your own configuration code or package, can send notifications to you. This would probably be useful for having AI agents running stuff and, like, you know, pinging you, basically giving you status updates on things is sort of what I have in mind. Also, these notifications should be able to come from anywhere. In fact, if I open up the terminal, build, release, bin, Slate. Does it notify work now? It's not been added, but the idea is that there will be a notify subcommand so that applications outside can even send notifications into Slate by doing that. Now, this is not the same as... It just started raining really hard outside. This is not the same as like normal desktop notifications. It's Slate's own thing. I might be able to like route desktop notifications into it eventually, but for now, it's just a nice little way to have notifications that come from things. And also there are action buttons that can open things in Slate. So like open files or open different views, etc. So it's kind of a nice little thing, but that's something that doesn't exist inherently in Emacs, but it's something that I added because I feel like it would be useful. This little red dot is going to be a connections list as well, like for like that local connection that you saw before, and also connections to any remote nodes. So there's like stuff around, but I'm still trying to keep it as minimal as possible. Definitely interested in people's feedback over time about whether it makes sense. Oh, pane resizing has been added. So you can resize panes by dragging them, and the terminal even kind of responds to that. Focus follows mouse, which is a mode that can be turned off, I think. Yeah, focus follows mouse. I can click that to turn it off, and now it doesn't do it anymore. The sash still lights up for resizing, but focusing actually works across them. So I don't know, like, I feel like, it's been 2 weeks, but it's gotten to a point now where I think it's ready to be used daily. I just need to get the first release shipped so that there's a kind of a foundation to work from so that people can try it and be using it and let me know how they feel about it. But I don't know, it's kind of getting there. So let's see about Tmux. Now, Tmux is a useful tool. I did a lot of work last week to make sure Tmux works pretty well in the terminal experience. And it does work pretty well now. It's great. Even things like, let's just do the LSR example again, GNU Store. So I'm going to cancel that, but I'm going to scroll up. Now it uses Tmux's actual back buffer scrolling, so like mouse events work. And if I were to use my prefix key to create a new window, you can even click on the individual windows in there. So like all the mouse events are going through to the terminal applications. It also works in Emacs. So if you have Emacs, I'm going to do Emacs instead of Termux instead of Slate, which is going to be real nice and fun. If you load it up in here, let's see, what can I do? Info. Whoops, I need to go to care mode. Info. I can use the mouse to scroll inside of Emacs, inside of the terminal, inside of Tmux. So it's getting a little bit wacky, but it works. So Morgan says, in terms of the completion interface, is that all hard-coded at the moment, or is it modular enough that someone could implement alternative completion methods and ways of presenting selecting candidates? I've started on that path, but it hasn't gotten to the complete completion styles interface of Emacs yet. Now, Let me try to find one that works. I mean, even theme. It does something like completion styles right now, where it will go for a prefix first, and then it will go for fuzzy mashing if the prefix doesn't show anything. I don't have a good example of that. Run? Yeah, there you go. Look, there's nothing that starts with RU, right? So we're doing prefix first. Can you even see that? We're doing R first, and I type U. There's no prefix RU, so then it jumps to fuzzy matching. So we already have the concept of completion styles and how that works kind of baked in. But I don't know if it's actually configurable yet because I haven't gotten that far. But that is the goal, is like basically make completion styles configurable the same way that they are in Emacs, and make it also configurable per completion type. So like files versus commands versus whatever else. So a lot of the same things that you kind of would expect to see in Emacs, I'm going to end up doing them because I kind of depend on them also. So the environment that I choose that would be better than Emacs should also have these. Also would matter a lot for mobile too, I think, to make sure that, you know, when you're typing on the phone, you can find the things you're looking for without having to type too much. All right, so does that make sense? So we're in Emacs. We're in Tmux inside of the terminal inside of, it's coming to me, inside of, Jesus Christ, thunder. inside of Slate. The other thing I did, which is crazy, is there a toggle for this, or do I have to actually go in the settings? Did you hear it? It scared the crap out of me. So I'm gonna go into Scratchpad. Here's another crazy thing I worked on. If it works, we'll see. Set options. Yeah, it was loud, right? It's like a horror movie now. Slate. Terminals use Tmux. I think this is how to do it. It's how I told it to do it. Let's see if it works. Is it set option? Unbound variable. That's BS. Are you on a vibe coded movie set? You would think so, right? I swear it's set options. Is it not? Oppenzel says, would a transient-like system help for executing CLI commands? Yes, I'm going to add something like transient because it's super useful and very efficient. So transient will be added. Set options. Why is it not in here? Did it get broken? Set options, for God's sake. Eval error, unbound variable. Okay, something got broken. Oh, why is there 2 notifications now? Oh, because the thing... Okay, got it. Yeah, all right. It's like a horror movie where the killer is in the house and knows you're about to replace Emacs with Slate. That would be a really stupid movie. I'm trying to think of a really bad name for it right now, but it's not working. Okay. So, is that everything? No, the Tmux thing. I wanted to show you the Tmux integration. Like, there's literally... Slate is now an actual Tmux client where if you open a terminal with Tmux mode turned on, if the machine that you're running it against has Tmux installed, it will actually attach to a Tmux session. You can manage all of the windows directly. Why would you want to do that? Why not just use Tmux directly? Well, because... Oh, shit. What just happened? Okay. I thought the power went out. It's getting spooky in here. Friday the 14th. That's the kind of terrible joke I would make, Trev, so you're okay. Anyway, why would I want to have a Tmux client built in? Well, it's easier to use on a phone. And also, if you can do things remotely through the interface, the bridge interface that I'm coming up with, then it's even better than doing it over SSH because you have an actual legitimate UI that is meant for your thumbs on a phone, and you can use Tmux in a real way with it. So anyway, you'll see that again some other time because it's not working right now, but I did too much this week, all right? I put too much stuff in here. I put too much stuff in Sigil. It's all falling apart now. So next week is basically going to be a big cleanup pass. I already ran out of all my quota in Claude. I'm at 100% usage for the week, so I got to slow it down a little bit. Got to use Codex in the meantime, you know? Okay, so how are people feeling about that? Does it seem like it was worthwhile to try this? Like, I think it's working. but it will only prove itself through daily use, whether it's going to work or not. I think it will end up getting slow at times, but you know, performance issues can all be fixed. It's really just a matter of whether it like feels worthwhile to use this compared to Emacs on a daily basis. So we'll see how it goes. But I want people to actually try it. Doesn't have to be today because things are kind of broken still, but you know, try it and let me know what you think, because it's fun. It's fun to work on it. It's definitely the most fun I've had since Sigil on a project. The other thing that impresses me about it is that Sigil is actually kind of like stable enough now to do this, because it can be running for a while and you can be using it and it doesn't crash and burn completely. So it means that I must have gotten it to a level of stability for a vibe coded slop language to survive. So that's good. Oh, which key? Yeah, you haven't seen which key yet, have you? Control question mark. So I got a little which key pop up here at the bottom. Let me actually make it so you can see this. Control question mark brings up the which key interface. I don't do it like which key normally does, where it does it behind a timer. You have to call it up yourself. So it tells you what keys are available. I can press Control X. Now it went away, right? And now the Control X prefix is active because I pressed it. Let's do that again. Control X, and then question mark. Wait, what happened? Control X question mark. There we go. Control X question mark. I did Control question mark. So in a prefix, you can actually get the listing of bindings as well. Okay. So I think that's kind of useful, at least to get you know, acclimated to what the bindings are in here. It looks pretty good. I need to make pages though, so you can actually page through these. But it's nice to have it. You can see the keys are basically Emacs keys. Morgan says, what is a root? A root is effectively, well, root is probably not a good name for it. Node is probably a better name for it. But a root is effectively like a file system root, effectively. So browse your roots. If you click that, it's going to bring you to the roots list. And there's browser and local. So the browser is the files that are stored in the browser for this app. The actual web browser, like the browser local storage, let's say. Local is your local machine that comes through the Slate CLI app, and Slate itself is like a special root which is embedded into the program, which has things like the welcome page, the scratch pad, which are kind of like virtual files in a way, kind of getting a little bit Unixy Plan 9, I guess. And then there's a docs folder where you can click customization guide. So all the manuals for things should be in here, like written as markdown or org files, whichever format we end up going with. So you can read the documentation directly inside of the editor. So there's basically different places where files can come from, but also different places where terminals can be executed. So you can't execute terminals in browser, but you can definitely execute them against local. And if you connect a node to a remote machine, or connect to a node on a remote machine, you can execute terminals there too. So that's also considered a root. Auntie says, so you need to press the first key binding to have which key? Well, either you press Control X and do question mark to get the which key, or you press Control question mark without pressing any prefix before to get like the top level binding. So Control Enter is editor eval, Meta X is palette, Control C is a prefix, Control X is prefix, Control U is universal key. We have universal key here. And Control P is also like Meta X, which needs to be removed because that's too much like other editors. It's actually the view selector, sort of like Control XB. Okay, this has just become another Slate stream. That's okay, because there's a lot happening and it's kind of fun. Thoughts? Another thing. Okay, here's a design thing that I want your opinion on. Normally in Emacs, whenever you use Control XB or do anything that opens up a vertical selector, like iComplete vertical mode or Vertico or whatever, it opens up the mini buffer and gives you a list of possible selections. The selection, the active selection, is at the top of the list normally. In many cases in Slate, I'm putting it at the bottom. So you can see here when I do Control XB, docs here is selected at the bottom. And that is the most recently used buffer compared to the one you're currently in. So if you use Control-X-B, I can press enter and go straight to docs, which is the one I was in before. If I use Control-X-B again, I close the docs one now, so it would send me back to the root of Slate. So you can kind of just use Control-X-B, enter, and go back and forth. Really, the reason why I did that, though, is that on a phone, if you click the ledge down here, which is like a status bar in other applications, but we're calling it the ledge. If you click the ledge, it actually does bring up that's not the point I want to make. It brings up the command palette, but if you are using it in mobile mode, let me make it small enough so it pops up. There's a buffer selector here. So this buffer selector, you click that and it gives you the same buffer selector, and then the most likely buffer that you would want to select to next is right here near your thumb. So that's kind of the reason why I did that, is so that it's not all the way up here at the top. It's actually at the bottom, and you click it very easily, and it's sorted in reverse. So this is the most recent buffer before that, and the most recent before that, etc. So it's easier to get to. I actually kind of like it the way that it looks, because it looks like the most important thing is next to all the UI down here instead of being like up here. I don't know, this is me, but I feel like it makes sense. People will have to use it and tell me. This might be another thing like Clatter, like Glenn made. Clatter, where the IRC chat, the newest messages come at the top, and it kind of freak people out a little bit. Maybe this will freak people out too. Morgan says, I've never been convinced that the which key style presentation is very good because you need to read every key binding in a space where the names are eventually going to be clipped. Maybe it would be better to try something new. The other possibility, which is something I was using in Emacs, is to use, with Embark, you can actually get a selection list of all the bindings under a given key map or prefix. And that was pretty useful. So I could do something like that too. Morgan says, maybe fuzzy match command names in the current key prefix. Yeah, that's basically what Embark did, which is pretty useful. So we could probably try that too at some point. Auntie says, but you read everything the first time, or if you don't remember which key is needed for the task you want. It is useful for drilling down through the key maps, that's for sure. Like, I think that it makes sense as a way to discover things. But as you can tell, I don't put it up by default. It's something you have to opt into by pressing the key binding. So that was the trade-off that I made. It doesn't pop up in your face unless you want it to. It doesn't activate unless you actually use the key binding to bring it up. So something else can be used instead. Okay. Let's see if I can find, let me go back up to local root. Go to home, David Will, projects, code, flux-world. Where is flux-world? Is it under Sigil? Flux-world. There it is. All right. So, No Namer says, which key is still great for learning, exploring, and progressively getting better and faster with the key binds? Yeah, it definitely is better. It's good for that. I use it a lot more a few years back when I was still getting used to certain parts of the key bindings, but now I don't use it at all. But it is cool that they're putting it in the box in Emacs finally. Okay, so flux-world. I wonder if command execution works the way that I expect it to. Probably doesn't with the root. I'm kind of curious though. So project run. Task. We didn't add tasks yet. Okay, so I have something like meta-x compile planned, but it's not there yet. Project run. Run command in flux-world. Can I actually type a command in here? Okay, that worked. Can I press G? Ooh, it crashed. Okay, well, there's a bug. What did it do? Oh, unbound variable string UT. Okay, there's a bug in there somewhere. We're just gonna bring it back up though. Let's see. So No Namer says, I would argue it should be on by default for explorability. If you're good enough at the keybinds, you're also experienced enough to be able to turn it off in 5 seconds. Should it annoy you? But the other way around, not so much. Maybe. Maybe. I would consider it. for like brand new users, you know, and maybe have like an automatic thing where you can kind of click a button and it just puts in like the power user startup configuration and turns a lot of that stuff off, maybe. Tendo says, how introspectable is state so far? Does it make sense to have a DevTools-like thing with some common views into internal state like Go? Oh, I didn't know that GoCTY had that. That's kind of cool. Yeah, you know, I was explaining this last week. I don't know who was here to hear that, but the way that Slate works internally is that there is a global state object that is a persistent, immutable data structure where all the sort of the main application state goes. It's using the reframe pattern. Probably there's other, like maybe it's even the Elm pattern. There's other languages and frameworks that have a similar type thing for functional style UIs. So the idea is that you store all your application state, or at least the important application state, in a big map or dictionary, and then any effect or any thing that causes the state to change swaps out that state in an atomic way. Okay, because we have the application state in this big dictionary, you should be able to inspect that. And we don't have it yet, but it should be very easy to add that, where you could actually look at the state object and maybe even edit it in real time. That might be kind of interesting, actually. An interesting way to learn how to customize the settings of Slate. You just look at the application object and you can just change things and then set them yourself in your configuration. So it's a good idea. Can I do the project list? Project, it probably doesn't remember it. Switch project, yeah, it doesn't remember the project. Okay, whatever. So we're gonna go to roots. Yeah, roots. Go in there. Local. Hold on. I'm failing at typing. I don't know why it's not going to the home directory to start with. It's supposed to. Projects code, Sigil, flux-world. All right, we're gonna go back into source flux-world main. I'm gonna have to run this in a terminal, which is fine. I'm gonna pull that up. Let's see, I haven't used the key bindings yet for making windows bigger. So Control X caret. There we go, that works, cool. Control X O moves things. So I think I have this wired up now. If I use Control X O, see there's some little numbers that pop up there. That's like Ace window. You can use Control X O and press 3 and jump down to the terminal. 2, 3, 1. So that's kind of a cool little feature that I added, because I felt like, you know, it'd be nice to have a way to jump around without having to use directional movement keys. I don't know if people like that or not. That should be a mode that can turn on and off, I think. Morgan says it doesn't work properly in some windows, such as the D-frame used by speedbar. You mean which key? Could it be feasible to track the state changes so you can have an undo for the entire system state? Well, yes, but I don't know what kind of weird things it would cause if you did that, because the editor state, like the actual editor buffer contents, are not in the state object, because that would be kind of ridiculous to change that every time. I'm pretty sure they're not. It shouldn't be. Because I think they're running those edits every single keystroke would be ridiculous. But for everything else, if it's just sort of like granular level changes, then it is possible to do that. But there are closures that are set up in modes that have their own internal state, which is common for an application like this, where they might be tied to what they think the current state is, and if they don't react to unexpected state changes, then there could be problems, which kind of does defeat the purpose of having an immutable object as the app state. But I digress. Yes, it should be possible. I don't know if it's a good idea, though. Let's put it that way. Time travel debugging of a whole editor environment. Okay. flux-world. So how was I running this before? Sigil run. It wasn't Sigil run. It was Sigil source run.sigil. I think that should still work. All right. Localhost 8080. There it is. Okay. So flux-world is here. Blue, red. All right. It still works. Thank God. Then it says, last workplace had a way to render the UI state later. So if there's some issue, you can save a section of UI state, 30 seconds or whatever. You can replay the UI later. No interaction with it. It was a very useful feature. Yeah, that is cool. I mean, if you can store the state transitions and the states that each change and play it back, you can kind of see what the user was doing, or at least for the repro. Are we finally gonna get do some coding now? So I have to ask myself, what is the goal? I mean, I'm so lost in the projects that I'm just sort of like, I don't even know what to do for the mud now. We need to kind of root myself in some kind of plan to do the event feed to be displayed and verify, verify the events show up there. That's not, doesn't make any sense. Have the command hit an endpoint and do something in the engine. Okay. Process the command like say or something. Set up basic world data structure. Okay. Well, we can do that. Maybe I should do it. Should I actually like make a library for that? Maybe like a game.sigil. All right, here we go. We're gonna write some code. We're gonna write some actual code now, and see how well I write. How well I write code in my own language. Import sigil struct. No, we don't need struct for that. Let's go without it for now. Oh, another thing. Something about the way that buffers are being updated. It gets out of sync sometimes. I need to figure out what's going on there. In fact, I should probably keep a list of the stuff I'm running into for later. Let me do that. So we're going to drop down here. Whoa. Sites, fluxharmonic.com. To-do.md. Things to investigate. The editor sometimes does not repaint after changes, like Control K. The editor loses Control N, Control P sporadically. Something weird that I noticed earlier when I was using it. There are definitely bugs, okay? Like I'm showing you this, it looks cool and everything, but there are definitely bugs. Sometimes Control N, Control P stop working, and I haven't figured out yet why, but like if I hold it a little bit and then try to use it, it just gets lost. Seems like you need an issue tracker written in Sigil. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to get into the business of writing my own whole like project management forge system, but you know, it does sound like something I would do. So I don't really put it past myself. I might end up doing it. Okay, define library, flux world game. We're gonna define a world. Give me a break. World. We're gonna define a world here. What's gonna be in there? Rooms. We'll make that a map too, I think. Let's see. Maybe that's good enough for now. And then what? What do we do with the world? Get world. So we can return it, because we don't want to export the world object directly. We just want to return the current state and not make it easily bindable. So world. In fact, I can just put it right up here. It's kind of ugly, but whatever. And then here, define update. Give me a break. World. I can't even type asterisks. So then we're going to set the binding for that. So set, whoops, world. Yeah, this is not what I meant to do. This needs to be a function. Because we're just doing an immutable update on that. Okay, so we're also going to go up here. We're going to do some exports. I think I don't need to do this in parens. I think that's enough. But then over in, we're or is it main? We're gonna pull in. Come on, Control E. Clearly it doesn't work perfectly at all times. The indentation, I mean. The flux-world game. Okay. Now, if I run this again, I'm probably gonna have to use -L. How did it work to begin with, actually? Now that I think about it. How did it import that? Unless run.sigil is messing with the load path directly. It's not. That's very weird. Okay, so we're gonna do source. Okay, so the import seems to have worked without throwing up. And what else do I want to do in there? In command handler. Handle command, red, blue. All right. Let me think how I want to go about this. So in a MUD, for those of you who don't know, probably many of you do know, a MUD is effectively a multiplayer game where people just connect to the same place and type in commands and things happen in the world, and you should be able to see each other while you're doing it. So you need a place to be, which is a room in the context of a MUD. So when a player connects, they will be put into a room, and a room may have exits, and they should be able to use commands to navigate the world by moving in the direction of the exits. I guess that's the basic way to put it. Inside of a room, you can run commands to interact with objects or other characters, players, etc. in the room, or even stuff that is kind of there that is like decoration. So the question is, how far do we want to go with modeling this as dictionaries? Now, in Sigil, a new thing that got added recently is called the record type. It is very similar, if not exactly the same, as closures records. Closure record. A record enclosure is basically a shape definition for a map type or a dictionary type. So you can have effectively a key value pair object that has kind of a known or an expected set of keys that would be inside of it. We might be able to use that to do things, but still have the whole game state be more or less immutable. The alternative data structure in Sigil is called a struct, and that is actually a mutable object with fields that may or may not be mutable, but the idea is that it's supposed to be a lot faster to use because it's structured in a way as a struct. But I don't think I want to mix structs and maps or dicts. I think I want to use dicts for everything. So let me go back into game.sigil. Let's see, define record. And I believe I need to import Sigil record for this. I need to check that though. And what's the best way to do it? Maybe the best way to do it is go into the Sigil code base itself and find it. Sigil packages, standard lib, source sigil record.sigil. All right, here's an example. Define record buffer name. You can see this was added because of Slate. So text default. All right, so define record world. And they are individual lists. So this would be rooms. Now the question is, do you actually need to use a constructor? Come on, where is the hash? Where's the hash? I'm not good at touch typing on this keyboard. There we go. All right, so here, is there a make? What does it do? Editor buffer. Editor buffer, got it. Okay, so maybe I should call this game world. I don't know. And this would now just be... Can you update the damn UI? And that's it. Not having Control E because it gets eaten is going to drive me nuts. So that needs to get fixed. Let me put that in the list because I got to fix that. That's the best thing about using a piece of software that you made is you see all the issues and you can fix them because you've identified them because you feel the pain. Control E does not seem to be working consistently. Probably related to that Control N, Control P thing. All right. So there we go. Are there accessor functions also? Is that what we're doing in record? I'm asking these questions as if I've never seen this before, but I didn't write it, obviously. Okay, so it's got accessor functions that are based on the fields that we define. Now that I see that, I don't know if I want to call this game world. Maybe I want to call it world. World rooms. I would also need to export the accessor function, which is not entirely needed, but why not? Okay, so we have rooms. What else do we need? Players. And we're gonna have to assume that there's a single player right now just to get things working. I guess even players is not even necessary, but I'll just leave it there for now. There's no point in worrying about it. In fact, let's run the code and make sure that it actually does run. I need to put something in here to make sure that it actually is running, because sometimes it gets caught up in the cache. We may have to delete the cache every time. So let's just put a little print line in here. Are you working? What's that? It didn't like me. Oh, unbound variable string. That's weird. Okay, well it did something, so it means it must be reading the code. Say what? Error in macro cond. Unbound variable string. I'm pulling in Sigil string. But the weirder part of that is that it shouldn't be complaining. All right, does it still work? Okay, it still works at least. All right, so next. Oh, it's probably this right here. But I left that open. Perhaps I should do a better system for handling commands, but we can just hard code it for now. Say no, it's not going to be equals. It would be string starts with. I don't think starts with is here though. Let me check the documentation. And Sigil string. String starts with, yeah, string starts with. Okay, there we go. So we want command. Medicaid did not work. Okay, what time is it? Okay, we got a little bit of time. All right, so say, first of all, I don't need to style it just yet. Player says, in fact, let's do a format. If I do, okay. So tilde A, all right. And we're gonna say, ooh, substring, huh? Substring. And where is substring in here? Get out of here. Substring. You gotta be kidding me. There has to be substring in the damn string library. Is it in core? Substring is in core. Okay, it's not in the string library. Fine. String, first index, last index. All right. Both start and end must be valid indices. Really? I have to put in the end index? That doesn't seem right. That seems quite wrong, actually, because how the F am I supposed to know? All right, substring command 3. I'm just gonna see if it works. Where is the, okay, I can barely see the highlight of the matching paren, but it is there. You can see that it's matching it. All right, let's restart. I wish I had a REPL set up for this. Okay, so it stopped complaining, which is a good sign. Let's see if I say foo. Player says, yeah, that worked. That worked real well. Where's format? Is it in the format library? Format. Formatting, there we go, here it is. Format, format, format. But which library is it in? Okay, so why didn't it work? All right, let's take those out. I don't know if that has something to do with it. Oh, because I'm a dummy. Why didn't somebody stop me from doing that? Where's the back quote? Oh, crap. Where is redo? Where is redo? Redo. Not here, whatever. Substring. Command 3. Is that what I did? All right, we got to do unquote. That should do it, right? Control E just worked. I saw that. Say foo. Did I crash? Expected non-negative integer for end. All right, we got to fix that in Sigil then, because that's BS. Substring requires an end index. I don't like that. I shouldn't have to do that. String length command. I really need the Emacs command thing here so I can really quickly rev running the app. Okay, so this needs to be 4. And then it kind of works. This works now. Unknown command, because I didn't say. Say, this works now? Okay, cool. Good. So something works. This whole house of cards is producing some kind of output. That's great. I'm gonna get rid of this print line. It's not needed anymore. I think we've proven the point that the divs are coming back just fine. So, it would be nice to have something like this. But maybe it doesn't matter that much, but I think it's better to have functions to make this a bit more obvious. So I wonder, did this put this in the, no, it's not. Okay, good. It does have Emacs-like behavior. Control K, I'm gonna jump up here and press Control Y, and it pastes it in, and tab did bring that over, which is good. All right, that should be good. And now I'm gonna put this as player message, name. And this is gonna be, all right, is it coming back? Is it coming back? Did YouTube die? What's going on? Okay, it seems like it's still alive. Okay, I saw that happen. Like, before it was too late, I noticed that the stream started dropping. I don't know what's going on. The bitrate is not so good. We made it almost all the way through without it dropping out. So this is not bad for it to happen now. Okay. So I don't think you missed anything. I was just kind of talking. I was writing this function player message. I'm trying to get it set up so that we can generalize the let's take this. We can generalize the display of player messages, okay? Control X doesn't work. That makes sense. Why should it work? Build region, and it's still there. Okay, where am I putting this back in? Right there. Control Y. Good. Claude, don't play games while streaming, please. It's not Claude's fault this time. It's my crappy internet. Okay, substring command, string length command, that's good. And then the message is here. The message is message. Okay, cancel it, run it again. Got a little error. What did I do? Auto compile error. I can't read that. Scrolling too much. Find subcommand. I must have messed up a parenthesis somewhere. It's got to be what it is. Yeah, I lost it. There it is. Boom. Okay. Say hello. Player says hello. Okay, good. I think that worked. So now we've got a generalized approach to printing a player message. Okay. Cool. No problem. So let's see. We got how much left? 10 minutes, let's say. We've made so much progress in this mud, you know? It's so great that we've made so much progress. I just love it. So, now, we need to know, we're gonna make an assumption about who the player is. I'm just gonna make a little variable. I don't know why the indentation is so off on all these forms here, but we'll just deal with that another time. Define player. Steve. I don't know. That's not a good name, but it'll have to do for now. There's no Steve in the chat, as far as I know. Let's see. Player Steve. And we'll just put it like this for now. Player. And then what else? I need to index. So what if I want to move? Okay. I'm trying to think of how I want to deal with this. In the game, we have players, we have rooms. Okay, what's in a room? That's probably the next thing we should say, right? Define record room. Title. A blank room. Description. This room is really boring. Exits. Not exists, exits. It's going to be just an empty map, which honestly we could probably put an exits object in here. Define record exits, because they're, well, yeah, that should work. What did I press? All right, just doing the cardinal directions here on the exits. And in here, I'm just gonna throw in a little exits object as the default. I wonder if it gets evaluated at instantiation time, or if it does it beforehand, which would be wrong. I guess it wouldn't matter though, because it's a persistent data structure, so it's not going to get mutated out from under you. Exits. Exit. Let's see. Target. We would have to have a target. Because otherwise, why would it be an exit? Make it a sentinel value that will make it clear there's something that's supposed to be there, but it's not. What is it called in Dark Souls? Fog door. Target description. Needs key. All right. Or needs item, let's say, maybe. Needs item. I don't know. All right, so that's a way to set up an exit. That's cool, great. I'm only going to deal with the normal cardinal directions right now. We're not going to do diagonals yet, if ever. All right, so we got exits, we got description, we got title. Also, we need entities. This is going to be an array. But maybe it should be a dictionary too. I don't know if that should be like that. Oh, this also needs to not be a keyword. And players? I don't know. Player is an entity, but I'm not exactly sure yet whether I want to do that. It's gonna be an empty dictionary. Maybe this should be empty dictionary too. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So, what do we do with this now that we have it? When a player is in a room and they do something, it should sort of notify the other players that are there. If I open 2 tabs of this, it's not gonna, well, maybe it will actually. So blue. Yeah, so it replicates it across because this is a very simple, stupid event stream. What we need is an individual event stream per player. So actually what we need in main... no, actually, no. Define record player name. Doesn't need to be default. Description. Event feed. So that needs to be plugged in so that whenever you look at a player, well, I guess it's kind of coupling that though, like the player information in world state versus the, yeah, that's not too, I'll keep the player, but maybe we should go into main. Okay, what I want to see is, here we go. Player names. I guess this needs to be a global 2. I don't know why I'm using the asterisks thing. Oh, it went down again? Okay, it's back already. Let me know. Yeah, I don't know. It's starting to do that thing. Steve. Angela. Bob. I'm blanking on names. Maud. Christopher. Amanda. I'm just coming up with random names here. You know why I'm doing that? Because whenever someone joins, for now, I'm just gonna assign them whatever the latest name is. Frank! Steve wired the connection to Steve. Rob. All right, we got a whole bunch here. Rob and Frank and all the other nice names. So, the next thing is when a connection comes in, we need to assign a player name to it. This is just temporary, just so I can test some things, okay? So it looks like there's multiple players in the game. Now, Trev. Where's Trev? Trev left as soon as he made a bad joke and didn't come back, which is probably the right thing for him to do, but don't tell him I said that. I'm sure he's listening. Probably while he's washing dishes. Paying his penance for being on the computer all the time. Okay. Do I have the ability to see when someone connects? That's the thing. How do I know when a new person connects in this model? Live routes, event feed. It probably needs to be a cookie of some sort. And I would have to open it in incognito mode. But I don't know if I have cookies in here, because I haven't written a web application with this thing. I have, but I didn't write it myself. So in Sigil web cookies, session ID, cookie ref request. So in the request object, I can pull cookies out with Sigil web cookies. Good, great. Sigil web, and we're gonna put some cookies up in this thing. Sigil web cookies. Okay. So if I don't have a cookie, I should add a cookie. Give them a cookie. This should be with a bang at the end, I think. Is there not an example of using set cookie? Build set cookie header. Why is this not loading? Oh, because there's nothing to load. I'm gonna have to look at the damn code directly, I think. Do I actually have Sigil web pulled? Source, Sigil web cookies. Parse cookies. Cookie ref. Cookie setting. There's documentation for this stuff. Name value options. Is it being used down here somewhere? Set cookie build, set cookie header. Okay. Set cookie response name value. Options. I don't know what the options are. Maybe the timeout from the cookie. All right. Why didn't this actually get highlighting? There we go. Sometimes you have to jog it a little bit. Let me put that in the list too. So to-do.md. Sometimes you have to type in a buffer before the highlighting kicks in. I've seen that before. Needs to get fixed. All right, so we got cookies here. All right, so set cookie response name value. So back in main, where is the first place? It would be here. I think in this handler, we need to check if they have a cookie, because we got the request here, but we don't have response. How am I supposed to do that? So in this route, home handler. Oh, okay. So this response is here. I can wrap it with a cookie. Maybe home handlers when I need to do this. All right, let's not do that. There, we're gonna do let player ID cookie ref request and player ID. Can't see the matching. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna say unless player ID. We want to do that. Maybe I also want to put the response like this. All right, so we got response. Trev is driving. Trev, do not type while you're driving, dude. If player ID, response. Otherwise, set cookie on response and say player ID is ooh, because I don't care. Or how about this? We'll just do it this way. Car of, was it player names? This is the last thing we'll do today because we don't really have time for anything else. What time is it? Yeah, I gotta go. Player names. Okay. And then we got, oh, we didn't close that one out. Control E, give me a break. All right, we got the binding set done. Now the define is done, it seems. All right. Thank you, Rainbow Parens, for making it clear to me. Okay. I have to do stupid things with the mouse sometimes because I can't actually use the key bindings I'm expecting to have. All right, so in home handler, here's what I'll do. Print line, player ID, tilde A, player ID. I just want to see if it gets stored across requests. Yeah, that's not going to work either, is it? The server has to remember, but it does remember. Player ID false. Okay, good. Refresh. Player ID Steve. Nice. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to jump into a incognito. That one's false. Oh, it's still doing Steve because I didn't change the list when I took one off. Fine, whatever. So, Steve says foo. Cool. And in the other window, it says Steve says foo. No, not that one. This one. All right. So now that we know what the player name is for a given session, then we could actually pull the event feed for that player and actually have a list of event feeds per player. So maybe we do need the event feed attached to the player because we're going to have to dispatch, or we're going to have a different approach for this, like a channel or something. We're going to have to dispatch events to players, and those events are going to have to turn into UI elements that show up on the screen. But that we don't want to dispatch UI elements to players. We want to dispatch game events to players and then have that result in UI elements that get displayed on the screen. So I think we're getting there, okay? Unfortunately, I don't have like Magit in here yet. I mean, haven't gotten that far. We don't have a Get Porcelain in here. So I'm going to have to commit this stuff myself without the use of an LLM, people. Get status. What's in here? Just game.sigil. Get add -a. Get status. Game in main. Okay, so git commit. Implement the rough draft of multiple players and world state. Okay, git push origin master. The funny thing is that this repo could actually stay on Codeberg because it hasn't been largely written by an LLM. So who knows? But that code should be up there now, flux-world. Yep, okay, so good. Inside of my bespoke editor that has been alive for just under 2 weeks, we were actually able to write some code and run it and then go into the browser and try it, which is kind of cool because all this crap was written in my LLM slop language called Sigil. The editor and the language and the website. So that's cool. I'm kind of proud of that, you know. It's been a lot of work. Why is it not showing me these things on the screen? That's so weird. Like, I'm actually seeing the messages show up in the chat overlay, but they've stopped working in my dashboard. So No Namer says, take the opportunity and while you write your issue tracker, write an integrated version manager, possibly called Dinosaur. You mean as opposed to Fossil? I don't know. I don't want to go that far. I'm already going way too far, okay? I'm going way too far. I don't need to do more than what I'm doing currently, but it's fun at least. Auntie says Sigil gang, yes. Okay. So, I feel like we've made some progress. We're getting back on track in the streams now. I'm talking a lot, but still, like, you know, code is getting written, and it actually does seem to work. So maybe over the course of, well, okay, let me be upfront about something. I'm probably not going to be streaming. I'll stream next weekend, but after that, I might be gone for like 3 weeks, 2 maybe 3 weeks. So we might be without streams for a little while for summer vacation type things. But once we're back, then we'll be back into the game of writing the game. And probably Slate will be a lot farther along by then because I'll be doing nothing but getting Claude to code for me the entire time I'm gone. So things will have progressed quite a lot. I think we'll have a lot of fun because, like Eric was mentioning before, you know, it'd be cool if you could inspect state of the editor inside of the editor. Well, you definitely can expect the state of the game in the editor and poke around with it. So that's gonna be kind of cool once we can do that. So maybe I'll work on that before I get back. Trev will take over. Yeah, that'll be pretty funny actually to see Trev do the streaming while I'm gone. He'll just be doing a lot of crypto stuff. I don't know. I'm just joking. Okay, folks, thank you very much for being here today. Really appreciate your time and attention as always. Check out, well, you can't really install Slate very easily right now, but if you're bold and bored, you can go to the repo. You can try to install Sigil. Actually, I think the latest Sigil that's up there may not build this, so you may have to wait until I release the next Sigil, which will be tomorrow. But after tomorrow, you should be able to follow the instructions right here if you're on Geeks and get it to run. So give it a shot if you want to. All right. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Until next time, happy hacking. See ya.